Problem number 3 was what I mentioned, the lack of transparency. Once again, there's a solution here. I believe that we should have inspectable records of all of the cases that take place. The State Commission on Judicial Conduct meets about a judge, and if the judge has had a false complaint against him, we should know that. If a judge had a complaint against him that the State Commission on Judicial Conduct acted upon, it should not be private. Everybody should know. This is public accountability. We want accountability. We want transparency in our courts. I believe that the State Commission on Judicial Conduct hearings ought to be reported to the public. I believe that we should know which judges are being investigated and why they are being investigated. This should not be a hush-hush thing that, well, maybe we'll give them a private reprimand. If a judge is being investigated, whether he or she is innocent or guilty, the public should know. Because currently, right now, we vote for judges. Do we want to vote for judges that are routinely being investigated? I would say not. But we don't know what these facts are. And this is the way that our system is set up, is to hide this knowledge from the people. The Texas Constitution guarantees open courts. We have open courts. I believe it is our responsibility to enter the courts to make sure that our courts are being run, our courts that we pay for with our taxpayer dollars, that they are being run in a fair and just manner. Another thing that I would say is that every judge, that this is something that should be done once a quarter at least. Every judge should open up the courtrooms, have no cases, but let the people that they have actually had in front of their courts, that they've made rulings on, that they've completely destroyed their lives, that they've adversely affected, the judges should be able to hear from these people. It should be part of the duties. If you have screwed up somebody's life, if you've messed up a child's life, the judges should know this. Because right now the judges have no accountability. They will sleep at night and think everything is just fine and everything's fine. I'm a judge, I know better than anybody else. Judges have destroyed lives. They've destroyed children's lives, they've destroyed grandchildren's lives. They've destroyed mothers, they've destroyed fathers. They have wreaked destruction across our society. And these judges want to be able to do this and then just say, I'm Judge so-and-so. I remember when Judge James, he had a question at the Rockwell GOP breakfast. Judge Jack James, in Justice of the Peace, Jack James. But he had his title, I'm Judge Jack James. You know what? Judges have caused destructions, and somebody like in Justice of the Peace, Jack James, should be able to hear from me, person to person, what he did. Let the public know. These should be presented so that the public can see them. And I'm not saying it's a time of retribution, but judges make mistakes. They'll say, well, we're only human. Right. If you're only human, therefore you get to have a review of you as well as anybody else. You review people, you make judgments based on partial knowledge. You sometimes shout out testimony. You sometimes side with an attorney because he or she is your buddy. You should know, and the people should know, the community should know what is going on in your courts. And I would also say this for our legislators. I believe as well that our legislators should be going to the courts that are in their district, at least once a quarter. If you become a legislator, for you to exercise your checks and balances over top of the judiciary, you need to be in the courts. You need to witness what is going on. I don't care if you go in person. I don't care if you go incognito. I don't care if you go fully revealed. I don't care if you go incognito, but you must be there. And I would say make it a surprise visit. Do not let people know ahead of time so that, oh, we can prepare for all of this stuff and put on the dog and pony show. Dog and pony shows are for military inspections. They are not for our courts. The legislators need to be in there and see what is happening in their courts. We need to clean up our courts. One man told me that the judiciary is the thin black line that protects our society. Now, we've talked about the thin blue line, you know, back the blue and everything, but we have the thin black line that keeps our society from devolving into anarchy. However, the thin black line at this point in time does not have the trust of many people. And I say this not of the criminal element that they don't trust them. I'm just telling you as a person who seeks to uphold justice, the rule of law, very conservative Christian person who wants to believe in the integrity of the rule of law, I have zero trust in the judiciary. The entire third branch of government, I have zero trust. So here I am, a person who wants to believe in the rule of law, wants to believe the good laws are being made, yet I know it because I've watched some of these people make bad laws intentionally, and judges enforce bad laws. The judges are supposed to rule, and as what was said in Federalist 78, if a law is against the Constitution, it should be voided. But judges will hide behind, well, that's what the law says. The legislature has told me I had to do this. It's so much garbage. So with the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, this is one area. I don't think that this is going to be the only way that we have to address the injustices that take place in Texas. Family court judges are simply terrible. They claim to have discretion, and the discretion becomes abuse, but you can never cite them for abuse because that's just the judge's discretion. They pick and choose evidence, they choose sides. I've watched this personally, I've watched this online, and there are many, many, many of us who have seen this and witnessed it. So for the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and when I talked with that man, I said, you know, I've been one of your critics, but I was glad that he took the time to talk with me to say, we are with you. Not everybody at the State Commission on Judicial Conduct is a political person trying to undermine things or not do their job. Some of them want to do their job. They are seriously underfunded. They are seriously understaffed. They are seriously hamstrung. They know that the courts are not good in many instances, and they can't do anything about that. And that's because our legislature has not adequately funded them, has not adequately staffed them. And by the way, if you want to take a look at the judicial department from our Texas Constitution, go to Article 5 of our Texas Constitution. It is the judicial department right here. Section 1A2, it says the State Commission on Judicial Conduct consists of 13 members, and they go on. The State Commission on Judicial Conduct is in our Texas Constitution. I don't know if we have to amend the Constitution. I just don't really know what all of the solutions to this are. But this is what we are looking to make sure that our courts are just. Our courts are not just right now. Our courts are basically courts of injustice, courts of abuse, courts of tyranny. And we need to at least have the State Commission on Judicial Conduct adequately funded and adequately staffed so that they can do their job. If you think that some of these suggestions are good, or maybe you have better suggestions. I'm just trying to think, how do we fix our courts? Our courts are terrible. I was very critical about the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. And after talking with this one man at the Judicial, at the commission down there, I said, okay, he's right about some of these things. He mentioned some things that I had not considered. For example, he said, we are terribly understaffed. We are underfunded. We know this abuse is taking place, but we can't do anything about it. And sometimes there are political games that are being played. Sometimes judges like Deanna Hensley, she got rebuked because she was actually upholding the Constitution. In our Constitution, it says marriage consists of between one man and one woman. You can't have gay marriage, same-sex marriage, according to our Texas Constitution. That's what it says. Even though she did not deprive anybody of their rights, they wanted to force her to marry them. And she said, no, I don't do this out of my religious conviction. But here are people that will do this. You can go to these people. And the State Commission on Judicial Conduct publicly rebuked Judge Deanna Hensley. That just said to me, I can't trust their judgment even, and that's a shame. This should never have been a case where a political agenda was the cause for the rebuke when the judge was upholding the Constitution of the state of Texas.